Hi everyone, Reverend Beth Simmons here with the first midweek moment of August. We have crossed the midpoint of summer, heading ever so slowly, hopefully, towards autumn, and it is feeling a little bit like summer right now, although it was very cool this morning. But I'm sitting out here by this little wildflower patch that we've got in our yard, and it is currently my favorite spot in the yard because it is just so glorious and so full of life. I don't know if you can see the bumblebee that is sitting right here on this flower. Just so many pollinators, so much buzzing. That was not a Japanese beetle that just flew on me. And so much color and beauty and joy in this spot. But I wanted to talk this week, share a story from the Bible and some thoughts about it. And it's a story that I shared this past weekend. I did a celebration of life for someone from a previous congregation, someone who died far too young, and he was someone who had the gift of seeing people, of really seeing people, and so I shared with those gathered a story of Hagar, and so I wanted to share that with you this week because it's still on my mind. And excuse the goats, you can see that I'm hiding from them out in the field, and they would love to come eat these flowers. So Hagar was an enslaved woman in the household of Abram and Sarai, who became eventually Abraham and Sarah. Now, Abraham is considered the father of the three what they call the Abrahamic faiths. So Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And so Abraham and Sarai had Hagar in their house. She was Sarah's slave, or that's how she's named in the Bible. And God had promised Abram and Sarai that they would give birth to a child, and that child would be the ancestor of a multitude of people, of descendants who spread throughout the earth. And Abram and Sarai were really old at that point and didn't really believe that promise. And so, as time passed and nothing was happening, they decided to take matters in their own hands and decided that Hagar should be the vessel to fulfill that promise of Abraham's descendants, right? Because technically, right, in that time, it didn't really matter who the mother was, as long as that's the father. So Hagar was sent into Abraham, and she did conceive. And Genesis says that that once she realized she had conceived, she looked upon Sarai with contempt, and so this troubled Sarai, to put it mildly. And being told by Abram that she could deal with her as she wanted, she dealt with her quite harshly, with Hagar quite harshly, and so Hagar ran away into the wilderness. And in the wilderness, she found a spring of water, and by the spring of water, a messenger of God visited her, told her to return to Sarai and to the home, and that her son also would be the fulfiller of a promise and would be the ancestor of a multitude, and his name would be Ishmael. And it is from his line that we get the Islamic faith. So in that moment, which we often skip over in our story of Abram and Sarai, Abraham and Sarah, and their miraculous birth story. And Hagar sort of gets forgotten, but she's an amazing person and character in the biblical story. And I encourage you, if you haven't read this, to go visit Genesis and read this whole story. But anyway, so in this moment, Hagar does something that no other person in the Hebrew Testament, in the Hebrew Scriptures, does. And she names God. So the name of God is not revealed to her, but she is emboldened to give a name to God. And the name she gives to God is El-Roi, which translates to the God who sees. Because God has met her in her distress and despair and has clearly seen her, not as a slave or a person just to function in her role in life, not as a vessel to fulfill somebody else's promise, but has seen her, Hagar. And I think there's something really profound about that. Because I think there are many of us who are doing okay in life, maybe even doing well in life, and have a deep sense of imposter syndrome. Maybe there's some part of us that is not doing okay. Maybe we're filled with anxiety. Maybe we struggle with addiction, or disordered eating, or mental health issues, or a disability, or we, have a difficult relationship that we struggle with, or we're not the parent we want to be, whatever, right? Any number of things that are maybe not visible to the outside world, and it leads us feeling like nobody sees the real us, and if they did, we would not be found worthy of their love, of their time, of their relationship. And I think the idea of a God who sees us, a God who knows us, who knows our flaws, who knows our brokenness, who knows our struggles, and loves us deeply and unconditionally, is something really profound. Hi. Sorry, there's a vulture. I am not okay. I don't know what to make of that. Hopefully not a sign of the turkey vulture just went over my head. Anyway, God loves us. And it makes me emotional, actually, to share this. Because, gosh, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves a lot of times. And a lot of time, the message that comes through media and other places, the message is that you have to be good. You have to be, if not perfect, as close as you can get to it. You have to be productive. You have to be attractive. You have to be, successful in whatever that means in our capitalist society. You have to be all these things in order to be worthy of God's love. And it's just not true. It's not true. You don't have to be any of those things. You are already worthy. Just as you are, as a child of God. Something is fluttering behind me. Hazards of doing these videos out in the field is that there's lots of wilderness hazard, I guess, or benefit. Anyway, so I would invite you to take a moment now or later, and I'm not going to say to pray. I don't want you to pray. I want you to just sit, find a quiet spot, open up your mind, maybe close your eyes if that helps you to be in the place. Open up your mind, open up your heart, open up your spirit, and allow yourself to be fully seen by God to start. And then, once you've done that, once you have felt seen, I would challenge you to try and do that with a person. And maybe if a person is too much, try something else. A non-human, seen by the flowers, seen by a tree, seen by a pet or a creature of some sort. But really drop your facade, any kind of facade that you may have up, your masks, your pretenses, and just really allow yourself to be seen as you are. And if you can only crack that door open and for a second before you slam it shut again, that's okay. Because light gets in through cracks. And maybe next time you'll be able to hold it open a little bit longer and allow yourself to know that you are loved, even when you are seen fully for who you are. Beloveds, be well.